Hey everybody, this is Nick Baldwin, and today I'm being joined by Bellator welterweight contender Logan Storley, who takes on Neiman Gracie in the main event of Bellator 274 on February 19th. Logan, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. Big fight coming up, first main event in Bellator. How does that sound, first of all?
I'm excited. It's a big opportunity, a big stage, and I'm excited to go out there and do my thing.
And you've been in Bellator, you've been around sort of the top promotion for a while now, several years. Are you surprised it took this long to sort of get your first main event position?
No, it's kind of give and take. I guess what's going on. Then we had the whole COVID-19 stuff, slowed everything down, and then we had I lost that split decision to Amosov, who's now the champ, and this one just made sense, and so hopefully go in there, get a win, and fight for that belt.
Does it make the fight feel bigger? Like even just now, as we're talking about it, 2.5 weeks away, does it feel like you're going into a main event, or does it kind of just feel like another fight?
I know once you get there, then it's once you step in that cage, you know that it's a lot on the line. But training camp and things like that, it's a 5-rounder now, but preparation is the same. You have to get ready, be focused, and kind of pick your parts where you want to go in there and dominate the fight. So really, there's not much more to it other than that.
I was going to ask about the 5 rounds. Does that change anything at all, even in training? I mean, sometimes fighters will train more cardio, more rounds if they're going 5 rounds as opposed to 3. Have you done any tweaks to your camp because of that?
Yeah, we've done more 5-round sparring sessions, adding on extra rounds, being ready for that when you're dog tired going in that 4th and 5th round. You got 10 more minutes left, and you have to be able to perform at a high level and go in there and still have that same pop, and be able to continue to, I guess, fight at the highest level, and we've seen it when guys cut weight wrong or aren't in shape that they kind of crumble a little bit in those later rounds.
Yeah. And how have you found it doing the extra training, going the extra rounds? I'm sure you're not, I'm sure it's been pretty easy. How has it been though?
It's been good. I got a good group of coaches, the best coaches in the world. And I got Robbie Lawler, who's really helped me kind of do the right things for this camp as far as pacing myself and, working on these positions and making sure my body is healthy. That's a big thing with this fight game is that you have to make sure when you show up to fight that you're at 100% and that your body's ready to roll. And so there's a peaking process. We started camp a little earlier and, took some time, maybe a day off here, day off there, pushed really hard for a certain amount of time. So Robbie really helped. Robbie and Nick Lentz really helped a lot with this.
And someone who has had a lot of 3-round fights, but also a lot of 5-round fights, I think Lawler is probably a great example of that, just as a former champ. I think they'll tell you that it's not just the extra minutes you have to potentially fight, but 5-round fights are just completely different in the sense that in a 3-round fight, you lose 1 round, well, you got to get the next 2. 5 rounds, there's a bit more leniency, but then you can't, put all your eggs in the first 3 rounds and then give away the last 2 sort of thing. Is that something you've been thinking about going to the fight and thinking about how you can sort of fight potentially differently because it's a longer fight?
Yeah, I know that, in a lot of 3-round fights, you're sprinting right away to win that first round. I guess most guys want to win that first round so that you have one in the bag and you want to win it clearly. But I know that you're going to have to pace yourself different. You can't sprint for 25 minutes. You're going to have to, manage that energy correctly, win the small positions. And that's what fighting, that's what wrestling was, for me, wrestling, hundreds and hundreds of matches is I guess once you got up to that higher competition, you got to win small positions. And it's the same thing with these high level fights, fighting the best guys in the world is you have to win small positions and not look at it at 25 minutes. I just need to win those small positions and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that once you get into the fight, you'll probably recognize it or realize that, yeah, there is a lot on the line. Number 4, number 5, stakes are pretty high. First main event, of course. Is it important though to, as you're sort of finishing up camp during fight week, going to the fight to try and make it feel like just another one, like, and try and reduce that pressure? Is that something that you feel like you have to do, or can you go into the fight knowing that there's a lot on the line and it still be okay?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it before with every Big Ten, wrestling championship and the NCAA championship. I only got 4 tries, and so there was pressure in every single match. And then, fighting now, I fought some, Amosov. I knew that if I would have won that fight, I'm fighting for a title, and could be the champ right now. So I know there's a lot on the line, but that doesn't do anything to worry about it. I know that there's a lot on the line. Pressure is a privilege, to be in this spot, to have that pressure. So I'm going to just own that. But at the same time, I need to take care of myself and the game plan and just go in there and fight my best fight.
And just to follow up on that, ahead of the Amosov fight, did Bellator say that was a title eliminator, or did you just kind of figure you would have gotten that opportunity if you won that fight?
They didn't come out and say it, but it was pretty clear that if one guy had a great performance, we were both undefeated at the time. He was, 24, 25 and 0. I was 11 and 0. We both kind of knew what was on the line, and obviously, he's the champ now.
Yeah. Let's talk about Neiman Gracie. Obviously, a tricky matchup for a lot of fighters. I think your wrestling can make this a very fascinating matchup on paper. Where do you sort of see yourself having the edge?
I think just with my ability to push the pace, win those, those scrambles. I know he's tricky. I know he's good there. So you have to be smart. You can't just fall into positions where he's really good, because that's his game. At the same time, I know that once I set the pace, and I don't know if he's never fought anyone that can scramble like me. So I just have to go in there and set that high bar and make him uncomfortable.
How has it been preparing for, as you said, a relatively tricky opponent?
Yeah, you work those small positions where he's good at, because in the blink of an eye, if you lose your focus, he can snatch up your ankle, your knee, arm. He's good there, and I know that. So I know that there's that this fight you have to be focused for all 25 minutes if that's what it takes. But at the same time, like I said, it's hard to emulate a guy like me too, who sets the pace, who can scramble, and who can continue to push it. So, I mean, it's exciting. I'm excited to fight another top-ranked guy, and for this time in the main event, and hopefully a title fight afterwards.
Yeah, and without giving away the game plan and everything like that, how do you see this one playing out? Like, what should fans be sort of expecting? Is it a matter of you're just going to be able to get on top, control him, maybe win those early striking exchanges as well? Like, what are you sort of envisioning for this wrestler grappler match? How it plays out?
I think a lot of fights we see, backgrounds like mine and Gracie's, that ends up being a stand-up fight, and so I'm not worried about that. I don't think he's worried about that. So we'll see. I think that, I'm going to go out there. I think he's going to be surprised by my hands. And I know he looked good last fight. He knocked out Lemminger. So we both have improved a lot with our hands. And I think we both really want to kind of show the MMA world that we're more than just grapplers.
Yeah. You mentioned the title shot a second ago. Do you feel like that is indeed at stake in this fight? Winner potentially gets the winner of MVP and Amosov?
I definitely think so. I think it's up there. I think especially if I go in there and have a great performance, a dominating performance, or knock him out, submit him, whatever it is, to just kind of show that, hey, I want that rematch, or I want to fight MVP, and I want to show everyone that I'm the best in the world. I think if I go in there and do that and have that great performance, then I'll be next.
Obviously, things get a bit interesting. Number 3 in Bellator is Jason Jackson, who I believe you still train with. Is that correct at Sanford?
Yep.
Have you guys talked about? I mean, you both are on sort of an upward trajectory. You're both in that title picture now. Have you talked about, if only one of you can get the next title shot, who would it be? What could happen? Have you guys had that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. We both know where we're at. We're good friends, training partners. I helped him for the Neiman fight last time. He helped me. We spar together a lot. Obviously, if it's a title fight that me and him are both fighting, if it's for the title, then that's different. But I think we kind of, see what Bellator does. We have the same agent, Dave Martin, and kind of see see what happens with this fight. I don't know if he has a fight lined up next. So I don't. It's always tough with teammates. These are good guys. Some of your good friends, guy that you want to see do well. He wants to see you do well. But at the end of the day, we're competitors and both want to be the best in the world. And so it's tough. It really is tough. And I got to take care of myself, and he's got to take care of himself, and then we'll see what Bellator decides.
It feels to me like you guys probably want to avoid fighting each other under most circumstances, but if it's for that Bellator welterweight title, things could change. I mean, of course, a lot is up in the air. You don't need to make any decisions right now, but is that kind of where you would lean? Like, if it's for the title, you guys probably would fight?
Yeah, I mean, if there's no other option, because let's say he has the belt, what am I going to do? Just sit there and not fight for the title, or vice versa? If I have the belt, is he just not going to fight for the? You know what I mean? And so it's hard to kind of answer that question right now when we're not in that position. But I don't know. The biggest thing neither of us want, the gym doesn't want, is that you have another gym feud, and we've seen it happen in gyms all over the world where two teammates fight, and then there's drama behind it and a bunch of BS, and one guy leaves, and the gym is kind of split up for a little bit.
Even your guy Robbie Lawler, I think, great example. The Tyron Woodley fight, that was a big ATT versus ATT thing. So, kind of right there is a great example.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not worried about that right now. The biggest thing I'm worried about is going in there and fighting Neiman in 3 weeks and taking care of business.
You mentioned that you helped Jason prepare for Neiman. Did that, or do you feel like that helped you now that you're preparing to fight Gracie yourself?
Yeah, I know where he's good. We helped Jason kind of in those positions where he got stuck in that fight and got out of them, and did a really good job with his control and his takedowns, hit a throw on him. So, I've definitely helped Jason prepare. I've watched tape on him, and now it's helping myself, kind of just help myself earlier to be ready for Neiman now.
MVP challenging for the title next against Amosov. Do you have a lean in that fight, early pick?
I think Amosov will get the W personally, but MVP is, he's wild, and he can strike from anywhere, and he's super fast. So a fight's a fight. Anything can happen. But I think Amosov's going to get to his takedowns, get to his body locks, get to half guard, kind of control him, and kind of wear MVP out early.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, maybe you don't look at it this way, but I think that Amosov split decision loss keeps looking better and better. Like the better the better he does, he's a champ now. You had one scorecard against the current champ. Do you kind of see it that way, or can you at least recognize that, the better he does, the better that loss looks, I guess?
Yeah, it still stings. I thought I did enough, but that's not his fault. I respect him. We talked after the fight, before the fight. He's a nice guy. But I want to be champ. I want to get back in there, and first it starts with Neiman, and then we'll see what's next. But yeah, he went in there and dominated Lima, so we'll see what happens with MVP.
As far as your aspirations for a title shot down the road, do you think having that fight with Amosov actually helps because it kind of sets up a rematch? There's that story where it was a close fight. You feel you got it done. You both have done well since that fight. Or do you feel like it might actually hinder your chances of getting that shot just because you've already had that fight?
No, I think it's I think people knew how close that fight was. People, a lot of people thought I won the fight. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this fight first. I need to go in there and beat Neiman, put it on him for 25 minutes, and then I'm ready for whatever's next. And I hope that's Amosov. I want that rematch. I think Amosov's, one of him and Usman, the two champs, and are, UFC and Bellator. And so I'm excited to put my name up there and be the champ in Bellator.
I wanted to ask you quickly about Douglas Lima, just because he's been, he's one of the biggest names in Bellator, former welterweight champ, has been around forever. Well, has had a bit of a rough stretch lately. Do you see him being able to bounce back, or do you think, as far as Douglas Lima being a contender in Bellator, those days might be over?
I don't. He's a legend. You know, he was champ. He's been around Bellator forever. He's had a hell of a career. You know, I don't know what's next for him. Maybe he only wants a few more fights. I don't know. He's a competitor, but he's still tough. He's tough as nails. And if that guy, puts together 15 or 25 minutes, he can beat anyone in the world. But yeah, he's kind of had a tough last two fights. So I don't know. I don't know him personally, but I've respected what he's done with his career, and he had a great run in the last tournament.
Last thing for you, Logan, and thanks again for the time. How do you see this one playing out? Knockout, decision, submission? What are you sort of envisioning as to how you beat Neiman Gracie on February 19th?
I think if I can just push that pace, get him tired, then it'll open up my ability to finish this fight. But the first things first is I need to establish my game plan early, win those small positions, and then I can start going for the finish. You don't want to go out there right away and be crazy and get in a bad position with him, because he can finish the fight at any time. So for me, it's sticking to the game plan, pushing the pace, getting him tired, and then trying to get that finish.
Awesome, Logan. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it, and best of luck to you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.